All right, so check us out. This is they kind of summed it up really well. It's 9 key points from the Trump campaign press conference on challenges to election results. So I'm just going to read them so we can get kind of an overview if you did miss it. All right. Number 1 is observers were allegedly prevented from watching mail-in ballots being opened. Allegedly, number 2, allegedly unequal application of the law in Democratic counties. And actually, I'm going to read this one. In Pennsylvania, whose state Supreme Court created new relaxed voting rules before the election, just before the election, mind you. Giuliani alleged that absentee voters in Democratic counties were allowed to cure defects in their ballots, which means to fix any discrepancies after the voting time limit has passed, while voters in Republican counties, which obeyed the state law as written, were not allowed to cure their votes. Interesting. Number 3, voters allegedly arrived at polls to discover that other people had voted for them. Giuliani said that many provisional ballots cast in Pittsburgh were submitted by people who showed up to vote in person, only to be told that they had voted already. He had alleged that Democrats had filled out absentee ballots for other people, hoping that they would not show up. Where else did this happen? Nevada, it was going on. A bunch of people were showing up to vote, and they were like, they told me I already voted, and I can't even vote. What is going on? So this is nationwide now. Now this is another state where this has happened. How many other states has this gone down? Craziness. Number 4, election officials were allegedly told not to look for defects in ballots and to backdate ballots. Giuliani cited an affidavit from an official who swore she was told not to exclude absentee ballots for defects and to backdate ballots so that they would not appear to have received after Election Day, to avoid a Supreme Court order to sequester those ballots. This is it. It keeps going. Number 5, ballot casting votes for Joe Biden and no other candidates were allegedly run several times through the machine. Giuliani said that there were 60 witnesses in Michigan who would attest to ballots being produced quickly and counted twice or thrice. He said that a minimum of 60,000 ballots and a maximum of 100,000 ballots were allegedly affected. 3 times for one person's vote. That means if you were a Democrat, your vote is 3 times worth that of a Republican. 3 times. Actually, more than 3 times, because he actually, in the math, when I was listening to him, he said that because they were getting rid of some Republican voters, the Republican vote was actually 0.75% of a one person's vote. And the Democrats were up to 3 times the amount of a regular vote. It's crazy. Absentee ballots were accepted in Wisconsin without being applied for first. That means people didn't even apply for them. They were just accepting them. Giuliani noted that Wisconsin law was stricter regarding absentee ballots than most other states, yet alleged that 60,000 absentee ballots were counted in the Milwaukee area and 40,000 in the Madison area without having been applied for properly by the voters who cast them. Number 7, there were allegedly overvotes, with some precincts allegedly recording more voters than residents. Among other problems, Giuliani said that there was an unusual large number of overvotes in precincts in Michigan and in Wisconsin, in which he alleged that the reason that Republicans on Wayne County Board of Canvassers had refused to certify those results there this week. This is what happened yesterday and today. He also alleged that there were some out-of-state voters in Georgia and people who had cast votes twice there. Number 8, voting machines and software were allegedly owned by companies with ties to the Venezuelan regime and to the left-wing donor George Soros. Sidney Powell argued that U.S. votes were being counted overseas and that Dominion voting machines and Smartmatic software were controlled by foreign interests, manipulating algorithms to change the results. Powell noted specifically that Smartmatic's owner included 2 Venezuelan nationals whom she alleged had ties to the regime of Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro. The legal team alleged that there were statistical anomalies, such as huge batches of votes for Biden that could not be explained except as manipulation, which they alleged happened in the wee hours of the morning as vote counting had stalled. The companies have disputed these allegations vigorously. Sure, but we're going to see, aren't we? Number 9, the Constitution provides a process for electing a president if the vote is corrupted. Jenna Ellis argued that the media had usurped the power to declare the winner of the election. She made the point, citing Federalist number 68, that the constitutional process of selecting a president had procedural safeguards against corruption and foreign influence. Giuliani said that the campaign believed that enough votes were flawed, more than double the margins between Biden and Trump in key states, that the president had a path to victory. Giuliani presented evidence in the form of sworn affidavits, citing 2 and noting that the campaign had many more from private individuals. He noted that several lawsuits had been filed by private individuals, not the campaign. He said lawsuits might have been filed in Arizona and that the campaign was also examining irregularities in New Mexico and Virginia, though he said he did not think there were enough disputed votes in the latter. Giuliani also took on the media, arguing that they had provided misleading information and condoned threats against Trump's legal team. He had so much. They were like, "Well, why won't you present this evidence to us?" And he's like, "Us meaning the media? You want me to give you our evidence? Why?
Yeah.
So you can smear it? So you can make it go away? So then when I bring it to the court's like, I don't, the media have this, and no, he's bringing it to the court, and that's what he said. He's like, you think I'm going to give you the names of all the people that signed this affidavit so you can send your people after them and threaten them like you've been threatening all these different leaders in the Republican spots that they are clearly being threatened? Oh, you're a racist for not following for doing their job. They're racist.
Right.
That's what they said. They said that they're going to burn in HE double hockey stick.
Yeah, and I have absolutely heard from people. This is another thing I've kind of heard from people who know more about this than I do, is that they have been very concerned about revealing the names of people who have given these sworn affidavits, because these people are being threatened. I mean, already, even without revealing it in the media. So I completely get on that one, and I have to give them props too for going back to the Federalist Papers, Federalist number 68. They went back for that one.
They went in there.
But I'm going to say something controversial, is like, I don't actually think the thing about the voting machines being connected with Venezuela and all that is actually the most compelling thing that's going to push them over the top. It's fine, and it's probably one of the sexier things for people on the right. But I think one of the things that is probably flying under the radar a little bit is this idea that votes in Pennsylvania were treated differently in Democrat counties than in Republican counties, because that right there is the basis for Bush v. Gore. And that was that's the precedent that they're going to be working towards when they come to the Supreme Court. And guess who was on the team that litigated Bush v. Gore?
Amy Coney Barrett and and Kavanaugh, both of them, right?
Roberts was on
really?
Too. Oh yeah.
Oh, 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's that was a lot of information right there, but that is just the tip of the iceberg, or tip of the Kraken, maybe, I guess. And that's what they're calling the Kraken. It's all this. I mean, I don't know exactly specifically what the Kraken is. I just think that it is because there was 9 points. Maybe there's 9 arms. It's just like they have all these different pathways to showing like all the irregularities, the fraud, and all the stuff that is clearly, I mean, they didn't even mention the dead people voting.
Right.
Which is a thing. 21,000 in Pennsylvania, 21,000 dead people voted. Like, how? What?
And this is one of the things that the media is doing to manipulate this, because they keep bringing it back to like the dead people voting or other like more like sexy claims, I guess, about the voter fraud. But in reality, the claims that they're making are much more boring. They're very boring claims, but that doesn't mean they're not effective, and it doesn't mean they're not real, and it doesn't mean they're not going to swing the election towards Trump.
Yeah, and what pisses me off is the media now. You look at what they're reporting on. They're like, "Oh my gosh, Giuliani had ink running down in his sweat. It must have been hair dye." And there was like, "Actually, we brought in a professional hair dyer, and he said that isn't hair dye." And it's like, that's what you're talking about? You're talking about his hair color? What? And it's being shared. The people are like, yeah, wow, his hair color, blah, blah. Like, no, actually, they're trying so hard to make people talk about anything else but the fraud that they're bringing to light, which that's what they're doing. They're bringing bringing it to light. They're shining a big, huge flashlight, an American size, made in the USA flashlight onto this stuff, and it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're nervous because, I mean, frankly, if Kamala Harris was so confident she's going to be vice president, then why hasn't she resigned her Senate seat?
Well, I mean, that's there's plenty of other people that have waited until just before. I think
I
Pence even
guess. Well, maybe,
before
but
he became
still.
vice president, he
But still, if they're celebrating around, like I think that they're more nervous than they're letting on.
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, they're well, they're trying so hard to pretend that everything is going as planned. They're really
Mhm,
trying to keep up the appearance for the people that are already brainwashed. It's all
mhm,
just smoke and mirrors for them to continue this charade that everything worked, that they did win, that Trump is just trying to steal the election now. It's like, no, no,
mm,
he won
no.
the election. You guys stole it. You're upset because they caught you. Trump knew it. He had an executive order 2 years ago in 2018 that prevents this exact kind of thing from happening. He knew that. There was a huge upset in 2016 because people did not like Hillary. They weren't expecting to lose because they had this stuff in place already. I don't know this for certain. I'm obviously making an assumption, but Trump has been talking about this since 2012.
Mhm.
2012, he had a tweet. He tweeted. I think he retweeted it or something recently. Let me see if I can find it. No, that's fine. It's not a big deal. Just talking about how look at the votes. Look at the suspicious stuff that's going on. And that was in 2012. And then he actually won. He wasn't supposed to win. That's why Hillary's still like, man, he wasn't supposed to win. I was supposed to win. We
Mm,
had
mm,
we
mm.
had it in the bag. Brr, brr, brr. Complain more. All right. Can
Yeah.
you imagine if they never found any of this stuff? We would have become Venezuela. We would have
Oh, yeah, literally.
our money would have been worth nothing. They would have brought in a whole new regime and the Constitution would have been gone. We need to protect the Constitution because the Constitution is amazing. It's
Mhm.
amazing. I have a beautiful American flag I'm looking at right now.
Ah.
You can't see it, but it's there. Goodness sakes.